All right. What up, guys? Thanks for joining us tonight. We got Stacey Rutland in the house, one of the co-founders of the Income Movement, and I invited her on today to give us like a kind of an update heading into the next big march, September 25th, I believe it is.
That's right.
25th, yes. And I think I'm going to be in Nashville's the 3-day event, though. That's going to be starting. That's before that, I believe. The Nashville event.
Yep, the Nashville. So the week leading into the Basic Income March. The Basic Income March is September 25th, the Saturday, and leading into that is actually the International Week of Basic Income. It's, I think, the 12th annual, 11th or 12th annual. So Basic Income Week for many years, and so we actually tied the march, celebrate the Basic March as well. So that gives us a chance to kind of connect with the international community. But the basic income.
Hell. Shoot. Okay. We're having some technical issues. Oh, okay. You're not frozen and kind of. Oh, man. It's froze again. Shoot. Well, we'll give it a second, see what happens.
Let me shut down a bunch of stuff on my computer so that I'm not sucking any internet except for here.
Okay, now you're clear as can be.
Okay, great. Well, I'm leaving. I'm shutting everything down. So
yes.
Except for this.
Oh, now it looks perfectly fine now. Yep.
Okay, great.
But yes, you guys coordinated on the UBI week on the international stage to go the same week for the march that weekend, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Awesome. And so we'll do the festival in Nashville. It's going to be 3 days. Mm-hmm. We'll have a concert. We'll have film screenings. Oh my gosh.
Is it still freezing up on you? Okay.
It was a little bit, but can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you okay. It's just lagging on the video a little bit.
Okay.
No biggie.
So we're really excited about the 3-day Nashville event. We'll be live streaming the concert. We'll be live streaming some panel discussions, film screenings. We're doing 2 films. We're doing the Inherent Good film, which many people in the Basic Income community have seen. It's a great documentary about UBI. But we're also connecting with an organization with filmmakers who have done a really cool film about the tearing down of the Confederate monuments in New Orleans that happened several years ago. Mm-hmm. There's been some work in Nashville around the same issue, and so the filmmakers who made that documentary, the creator of it works for The Daily Show. It's that film. The film is called The Neutral Ground. We're going to show that and have that be a jumping off point for a conversation in the Nashville community around. Awesome. Yeah. So that's going to be very cool. And then that'll get everybody, we'll live stream all that. That should get everybody excited about the march that's happening a few days later. Yep. Right now we have nearly 30 cities on the map that are going to be participating in this year's, and even some more cities that we know are going to drop on the map soon. So it's looking like a really fun and really exciting time this year. We're very excited to have. Last year, obviously, with COVID in the kind of deep shutdown, our events were very small. They were socially distanced. We didn't really have a chance to do marches. They were like car parades and bike parades. But this year, we'll be smart and thoughtful about social distancing and things like that. But we also see this as an opportunity for the community to come together in many ways for the first time in a long time.
Yes.
To celebrate the amazing progress that we've made in the last 12 to 18 months, which has been phenomenal from a legislation and just conversations that are happening around basic income, the number of pilots that have spun up. It's been such an amazing year. So we want to be able to celebrate all together and make sure politicians know there's a strong voice out here of people who are paying attention to if they're supporting these efforts.
Yes. So just so you guys know, the in Nashville, it starts on the 12th of September. It's the 12th, 13th, and 14th. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
No, it's actually no. Sorry, it's actually it was originally the 19th to the 21st, but we just recently moved it because there's a couple of festivals that are happening at the same time. So the dates for the Nashville event are the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. So it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, leading into the march on the 25th. So, yeah, that's, and we'll be updating the website.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
finalize the dates for the Nashville event. So you'll have a place to be able to sign up if you want to be there in person, but also a way to sign up if you want to be part of the live stream so that you can watch the concert remotely. The concert will have comedians, really great musicians. I'm sure, most of the audience knows that Nashville is an amazing musical hub. And so we are working together with, we chose Nashville because there's a very important, amazing pilot that is getting launched there. It's called Moving Nashville Forward. It's created by and from the North Nashville community, who's a historically black community that's been kind of decimated by a series of urban planning decisions that basically stuck a freeway right through the community and dead-ended hundreds of streets. So the community members, no longer got to, and they took out, where they put it in was through some of the most thriving black business, kind of urban and black commercial districts. So like one of the first places that Jimi Hendrix learned to play the guitar and played with certain people was torn down to put this freeway up in the late 60s and early 70s, as some would say is for retribution of the work that was happening around the civil rights movement in Nashville at the time. But so the community has been kind of decimated. And then at the very beginning of the pandemic, there was a tornado that tore through that actually destroyed hundreds of homes. And so so Moving Nashville Forward, the pilot there is the Black community coming together and saying, let's pilot this, what we know is an important program for direct cash transfers that we know historically has been tied to MLK and Dr. King's vision for equality. And let's try to get our local mayors and, local state officials to get on board with guaranteed income.
Well, I actually did a video on the Tennessee pilot whenever that came, like a month or two ago. They announced that. I actually did a video on that one, of course. If I see a UBI pilot, I'm on it. But also, I live close to Gary, Indiana, and the mayor of Gary, I actually know one of his people. So I'm gonna try and go do a one-on-one, in-person, like on the street kind of interview with him about show us the neighborhoods in Gary. Man, it's not good.
Yeah.
It'll make the biggest difference in the most desolate places.
Yeah, it really will.
That's just the way it is. The math works out, right? But I want to show everybody the map, first of all, of the income movement. So here's the world. We got one in, what's this say here?
That's Jakarta.
Yeah, in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And then we have Berlin, Germany, and then Amsterdam. Oh, I wish I could go to that one.
I know. Amsterdam and Berlin have just been thriving. They've had such awesome, and then we have Montreal. And we're working together with UBI Works, which is an organization in Canada right now. And I think they have 4 or 5 other cities that are going to join that are already doing planning. They just haven't dropped their pins on. So you guys will get to see Canada start to explode over the next couple weeks.
Okay, so it looks like there will be one on Sunday. That's different though.
Oh, yeah. This is one where, so we have a summer event series, and a couple of our organizers have gotten confused about what map to drop stuff on.
Okay. I thought, because right now I didn't know there's not one in Chicago scheduled for the 20, that's actually the August. This is August.
Yeah, that's just a summer event series action. Where people are spreading the word. I'm going to drop a note to our. This is great. We're finding out where the odds, the kind of mistakes are right now live. So I'm going to text my team and let them know that this was actually supposed to be on our other map.
So this is great news. I didn't know about that one. I'm only 100 miles from Chicago, and I don't have my kids this weekend. I could go to that possibly if I can get out there. 12:30 on Sunday. But yeah, so I just want to show everybody the map. This is where you can find, of course, actionnetwork.org. Oh, wait a minute. No. Basicincomemarch.com.
Yeah.
And that shows you the map.
Yeah. If you click on the We'll Join the March link at the top of that page, it takes you here so you can see what cities are participating.
Yep. You can enter your zip code and it'll give you the closest one.
No, and you a lot of the time, we ask people to drop pins on as soon as they know they want to do something, but some organizers, this is grassroots, so organizers get to kind of be in charge of that, and so we know like Mountain View hasn't, California in the Bay Area hasn't the pin hasn't dropped yet, but we know that Andrew Yang is going to actually be there for that event.
That's the one in where? Sacramento?
In Mountain View, which is basically San Francisco area.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they haven't dropped the pin yet because they're just finalizing a couple of details with the permit, and the organizers they want to make sure all the everything's in line. But Andrew's going to be there. Natalie Foster, the founder of Economic Security Project, is going to be there. Giselle Huff, the founder of Fund for Humanity. All three of them will be there, as well as potentially some elected officials in the area, state senators, mayors, and then people who have received, who have been part of some of the pilots that have rolled out in California. So there's going to be a great event there. So, and that should land on the calendar hopefully this week. We keep urging to just drop it on there so people know about it. But
they just got to keep announcing it too and putting it out there on Twitter and stuff. And you guys can retweet it. I'll retweet it and let everybody know. But
that's right.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not one in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar kind of taking the helm and saying, "Hey, let's go." And she has been. First of all, I'm an Ilhan Omar stan now officially.
Yeah.
She's leading the charge as far as like in Congress, in where you have power.
That's right.
Actually do shit, not just talk about it.
Yeah.
Do it. And this is significant. And I can't remember. I just saw another one that where was that? They have another one that's going to be a citywide one in It's like $500 a month for I just did it.
It just dropped in the last couple of days. It's hard to keep track of the pilots. There's so many pilots now, which is fantastic. It's a good problem to have when you're like,
it's a great problem.
All of these pilots, because not only is it great for the movement from a kind of strategy perspective, but it also that many more people are getting money right now that desperately need it. So
Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh yeah, yep.
Has UBI pilot for I can't remember the exact number. Make sure.
Yeah. They just announced that. Yeah, which is great. And we're reaching out to Representative Omar to see if they've confirmed that they'd love to be part of the Basic Income March in some capacity this year. And so we're just working with them to figure out. There is an event in DC that is taking shape, and that's going to be in the mall. And so we're trying to understand. I think Congress is in session around September 25th. And so we're trying to understand who's going to actually be in DC and who's going to be in their districts and what makes sense. Because, Jamal Bowman has been pretty outspoken about basic income. He's obviously in New York. We're going to invite him and have invited him to the New York event. We'll see if he's able to make it up that way. But if not, there might be an opportunity for a few of the key Congress members who have really become champs. Cori Bush has always been leaning hard into UBI. And she just did some amazing work with the rent moratorium.
Yes.
Camping out on the steps and stuff. So I think starting to connect guaranteed income to the housing crisis, and
absolutely
talking about basic needs, that we're talking about covering basic needs, and housing is basic needs.
Yep.
So we want to fix, or at least help alleviate a part of what's happening with our housing crisis. A guaranteed income is a critical component to that.
If we can merger the ideas that housing is a basic human right, healthcare is a basic human right, income is a basic human right. We have the right to have life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
And it's constitutionally promised, but yet we're not doing it. So I think this is a moment where we can really get everyone on the same page and say, you know what? These people are not doing their job.
That's right.
And we have to put public pressure on them, and again, Cori Bush.
Yep.
Action. I would love to see her show up in Nashville or something where, specifically for me, it's a personal request of my own. I'd love to see her.
She's invited. We've invited her. We're going to see if she's in the region she's back home and can actually make it over. But yeah, for sure.
So I'm just super excited. So I'll be in Nashville. Well, I'm going to beg my boss for 3 days off of work. Probably a fourth, because I used up all my vacation time when I went to New York. I came back with 0 hours. I was actually short hours on my paychecks. I didn't have enough PTO. But yes, I'm going to try and do something to get down there. And if I can't get paid time off, I'm going to try and do like a fundraiser and actually just like, fuck it, I'll go with unpaid time off. But, yikes.
We should definitely, let's stay in touch, because we can definitely also just think about, like, if you want to be doing some live streaming from there. I know we chatted a little bit about that. Like once the full calendar of events takes shape, we can definitely make sure you're part of doing some of the great coverage. We have some great right now. Vice News is interested. They're doing some longer pieces on the rise of basic income and pilots, and they would love to be able to to get some footage of the marches and the festival in Nashville, and some other.
Your boy.
I know. Yeah. So there's a lot of larger national news outlets that are. I mean, it's hard. Basic income is a hard thing to have like photos and videos of. There's like not right. It's like, okay, there's this pilot that's happening, and everything's to a certain degree, unless people are okay who are participating, okay, talking with press and stuff like that. So, and it takes a while for the results to come out. Like it's a slow burn of a story. So having something like the march helps solidify it and ground it and have those vision, for news, televised news. It's an opportunity for them to have some great visuals and some great experiences that help illustrate the growth of the movement. So definitely this year, I think we're going to see a lot more coverage, national and local coverage of the events, which I think again just helps us get the word out that there's the thriving grassroots community that is showing up and that's pretty politically engaged and ready to elect people or put pressure on current politicians to support this.
I actually called my own local mayor, small town mayor. I called her. She answered the phone. Thank you. Step number 1. Step 2, she told me we don't know enough yet. We have a lady that they actually sent to this thing about the because she's like, we already have our budget. I was like, but you have a kicker coming. You have your budget. I understand that, but you have more federal funding coming. Governor Whitmer already said we got X amount of millions of dollars. We're going to disperse it county by county, depending on need. If you guys can hurry up and propose a basic income pilot in a very small town like this, there's only like 1,400 humans in my town, and 400 of them are in the school systems. So there's 1,000 adults.
Yeah.
And our community is pretty poor, where the high school or the public school, K through 12, had so many kids that qualified for reduced or free lunches. They said, screw it. Free lunches for everyone. They said, screw it. And they just budgeted it. And so I think that I want to hopefully be able to touch base with the right people and say, hey, this small town, I want it to be like, let's pick, 20 people, 50 people, give them $500 a month for a year, or 2 years or something, and if we all get active, everyone can call. All you do is make a phone call.
Yep.
You show up to your town board meeting, whatever we call that, city hall, whatever.
City council.
And then you just get connected and get active, man. Because I'm so thankful to just be aware of this now, because I was unaware of everything.
If your mayor's like curious and wants to know more,
mm-hmm.
connect you and connect them to Mayors for a Guaranteed Income. Once you join that coalition, you have access to more resources. And a 50-person 1 year thing might be something that they could actually, help. They definitely would like to, in the conversations I've had with them, they would love to actually expand out from like major cities to smaller cities and small towns, because it's important to not make this an urban issue. This is everywhere that this is needed. And being able to collect, pilots are about collecting data, getting money to people, and then getting data. And being able to get data around the rural communities is pretty critical, certainly critical to getting more centrist and conservative, congressmen on board. If you start saying the heartland, small town America needs this, and here's the data, and here's the stories, and this is happening in purple and red areas, I think that could potentially move the needle for people that are like the mansions and cinemas that are centrist Democrats, but also the more centrist Republicans, the Mitt Romney and others that are out there.
I'll give you one name to talk to is Fred Upton. He's my U.S. congressperson, and he's one of the most bipartisan Republicans. He voted to impeach Trump. He voted for the infrastructure bill. He's the one of the few that crossed the aisle to do the right thing, that makes sense. And he's very supportive of my local area because he has a personal interest because his family owns Whirlpool. You've heard of Whirlpool, right?
Yes.
So their national headquarters, their world headquarters is right here in Benton Harbor, Michigan, which the poverty rate in Benton Harbor, Michigan zip code is significant. I'm talking like the average income is like $20-something thousand a year. And I think 50% are unemployed and 40% are under the poverty level. Like it's that bad.
Yeah.
And yet there's a worldwide headquarters with billions of dollars of profits per quarter.
Right.
In the cheapest, most poverty-stricken place. If there's a place for a UBI pilot, it's freaking there.
Yeah.
And I think that I would love to reach out to Fred Upton and say, hey, is there any way Whirlpool would be interested in funding a basic income pilot in their backyard?
Yeah.
This just makes sense to me. So I've reached out to Fred Upton's office, of course, no reply yet, but if I keep making noise, I'll be able to, keep shaking that bush until the top branch shakes, So I'm going to try like hell.
We're happy to help you spin up a petition or something that sometimes having something to turn in to, hey, I've got a petition that 1,000 people have signed in your district or 500 people, and I want to deliver it to you. Sometimes you can get, that can get your foot in the door. And
I have my to-do list here.
Exactly.
So that's what
we're totally the movement's happy to spin something up for you and that you can use as you do that work if you want. We've been doing some of that we have a 100 mayors campaign going where we want to get mayors for a guaranteed income up to 100. And right now it's at 54 mayors, I think, that are part of it. We want to grow that. And so we have petitions, we have people, organizers all across America who have open petitions. Albuquerque is just, there's some very tenacious organizer there who's she's got some great petitions. She's been reaching out to her.
She ran for Congress, right? For New Mexico. What the hell is her name?
I don't know if she did. This is just a grassroots organizer.
Oh, okay. So there is a community there already, progressive community in New Mexico.
Yeah, Santa Fe's mayor is already on board, and but Albuquerque's is not. And but the grassroots organizer that's there, she's pulled up a petition. She's gotten hundreds of people to sign it. She's trying to get it delivered to the Albuquerque mayor to say dude, you need to get on board. You've got people in your city that care about this. And New Mexico's doing some great work. They actually just came out. If you're tracking this, I think just today or yesterday, that they would like to do a statewide. They'd like to come together and think about how they can dog ear some of the money that's coming down the pipeline.
In New Mexico?
To do a New Mexico
Ooh.
state guaranteed income program. Similar, I think their vision, I mean, it's just obviously just got announced. It's in the very early stages of like exploration and building the plan. But I think probably similar to how California's is, where it's like, here's a chunk of money and there's some groups of people that will target, and organizations can, it's a slush fund or a pool of money that organizations who want to implement a pilot for these kind of target groups can be part of that. So I think that's the vision that they have. We'll see what comes out of it. But New Mexico, yeah, there's some great energy happening in New Mexico. So we're like, come on, Albuquerque, get on board.
Well, there's such a large native population there.
Yeah.
Where I think that can make a huge difference. Just an infrastructure, like with supplies and stuff. If you have that's my thing, is I want to talk about the rural people who have to drive 45 minutes to the store.
Yeah.
You got to drive an hour to a hospital. If you had more resources in a rural area, you can condense it and have a store open up, a small satellite store or something like that in the area for fresh produce and whatnot, for healthier food choices and stuff, not canned goods.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely, I'm going to do shit. So I've already called my mayor, so I think I'm going to keep bugging Fred Upton, but I'm definitely going to talk about that petition, because I would love to see that in the state of Michigan. I want us to be the leader of UBI. And I'm thinking about running for state legislature on ranked choice voting first and foremost.
Yeah.
Ranked choice voting, ending police immunity. And I'm, of course, basic income is not a state thing I can really run on, but the idea is trickle up economics, right?
That's
so,
right.
but
yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that mayors and even city councils are doing, obviously they have control, depending on the way that the structure of the city or whatever, they have control over some kind of budget. But a lot of the work that like MGI is doing is just around advocacy. If you're a mayor of a large city in a state, you actually have a lot of sway with your Congress members, your federal representatives and senators. So there's actually a lot that's happening. And I think it's the same at the state level. If you can start to get something going at the state level where governors start to pay attention to it, and they are having conversations with the White House and with Congress members around, this is what's happening in my state, and I think it needs to happen. We don't, there's very few states that have enough money to be able to actually do like a citizen-wide, have big enough budgets that they can do a citizen-wide guaranteed income, basic income, and get something like that officially in place. That's not just at the pilot stage, but if enough governors came together and were, and said, I'm getting heat from my state legislators, and they're saying like, and I'm getting heat from my mayors, and I'm getting heat from my constituents. Like, you got to figure this out.
Yeah, where's the money?
There'd be a lot more, a lot more fire under the butts of people in Washington.
Well, and that's why, we've got great people there in Washington. And if you look at that map, let's look just how great it is. I mean, look at that, guys. We have, what is that? Tacoma, Peninsula Park,
Portland. Yeah.
Yep. Or Eugene, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Let me zoom in a little bit. It's not letting me click on every one of them.
Corvallis.
Yeah, whatever that is.
I live in Oregon, so I know all these places.
Yeah, Redmond, Oregon, right there. And then you have two in Nevada, guys.
I know. Yeah.
That's huge, because Nevada is very rural.
Yeah, Reno and Vegas are on the map.
Vegas. I would love to go there. But I really like the idea of Denver, because Denver is very progressive as a state, like, legalizing cannabis and now hallucinogens. Then you got Hesperia, California. And you have, of course, MacArthur Park in LA. Oh, that's where we was at the last time.
Yeah.
Tejas. All right. Dallas, Texas. Outstanding. I'm surprised Austin, because it's such a progressive city, that doesn't have one.
It might drop on. We're actually going to do the National Conference of Mayors is actually, they get together once a year to set the stage. And their annual event is actually in Austin at the end of August and the first week of September. So we're actually going to do an event there where grassroots community is going to come out and hold up signs thanking the mayors that are part of MGI, and try to get the attention of other mayors, so that in the conversations we've had with like aides to mayors, they've said literally like, we don't get any positive accolades ever. Like mayors, right. I mean, you get the when things aren't going well, you hear about it, and then when things are going well, you don't, because they're all busy doing well.
It's like special forces. You don't hear. You don't hear about special forces till things go wrong.
Right. So we thought it would be great to do a thank the mayors who are fighting for guaranteed income at this event, where there's going to be hundreds of mayors from across the country, and see if we can get some mayors in the cities to be like, hey, I'd like to get some of those accolades too. Maybe I should be joining this guaranteed income movement. So that's happening. I don't know if there's going to be a basic income march in Austin, but there's going to be a few weeks before that. We're going to have a good turnout of grassroots community to thank mayors and try to get the attention of some of those mayors who are on the fence and not sure if they want to join MGI. Like, let's push them over the other way with some of the praise and accolades, not the,
and help fundraising. Money talks, the bullshit walks.
Yeah.
So if we hook them up and they show a little bit of interest, say, listen, there's help and resources available to kind of hopefully, spur them along. If you can, to me, like with my kids, if they can save $50 for a thing, I'll give them the other 50. I think we could, try and, leverage a little bit for good, incentivize good behavior of your public officials. But that's what I would love to see more people do. I'd like to find a list of all 50 or 60 mayors and have like a thread on Twitter that we can all just, help them out online and say thank you and across the board. But I definitely think rural stuff is where the biggest bang for your buck is, because in states like Michigan, where it's more red than blue, where it will make a significant difference in the rural areas because, lack of resources and access. There's no jobs.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm very interested to see what happens with the data that starts to come out, and just the general sense of kind of support and buy-in from rural parents as the child tax credit continues for a few more months. I think being able to look at and being able to point to and say, listen, the child tax credit, these monthly checks that you're receiving for your kids is guaranteed income for kids. What we're talking about is expanding that so that everybody gets that. We're like, let's make it so that nobody has to jump through hoops. People who need it get it. You can claw stuff back after, in taxes or whatever. Make sure people who are also getting it are paying more into the system, so it kind of more than comes out in the wash. They're other side of it. But I think that when people, my hope is that people in smaller towns, more rural areas, and really kind of just across all partisan lines, when receiving it, just starting to think like, well, what does it mean to me and my community, to my family, the people I love, to have this monthly additional income that's coming in that and what would it mean if it was permanent and I could just rely on it, month in and month out. And I think that if we do this right as a community, as a grassroots community, if we make sure that we're tying these checks to basic income so that they're understanding, like, this is what we've been talking about, this is what we're fighting for.
Yeah.
But to go to everybody, I think that we could potentially actually see some big shifts happening.
Especially with people getting it right now. They're going to be the greatest, like, word of mouth is the fastest way to spread the message. And if you have, like, Mia is one of the people that does the Trickle with me on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
She's got 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
She's getting, they got a car.
Yeah.
Because she can't leave her home because of her son's got severe handicap issues with getting out and about. So she has to stay home with him at all times. Her husband actually got a car and can go to work now.
Yeah.
Because of 2 months of checks, 2 checks.
Yeah.
They got a car. I mean, come on, man. This is I don't know, man. It seems like a no-brainer, of course. But I do think that's why I'm really considering going to Chicago for that thing on the 15th this Sunday. Maybe if my girlfriend's down to come with me. And go. So they actually on that thing on the map. It actually says on that map. Let's talk basic income movement and CTC. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, 12:30. I might have to sign up for that. All right, sweet. But I'm definitely looking forward to going to Nashville first and foremost. I've never been there for like an overnight experience, and also let's talk about Dolly Parton. How cool is she? She's a huge advocate, and she actually gives people direct cash.
Yeah, she did it after the fires in her
direct cash. She didn't go through some bullshit.
That's right.
Not to say that nonprofits are bullshit, but national ones have a lot of administration fees.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped volunteering for United Way when I worked at a union. I was one of the union reps for United Way. Then I started reading the small print on the back. I'm like, then they got mad at me because I was like, okay, guys, look right here. Those 6 have a 30% administration fee. That's not a good idea.
I know.
So I started ranking. I was like, listen, these ones are actually 33%. This is 20. This is less than 5%. I think those are the most bang for your buck. And then the people come and got mad at me and they complained.
Yeah.
Because I was giving them the data.
Yeah. I think that like it was in the late 90s that stuff came out, early aughts came out about United Way that like at their national headquarters they had like gold plated
Trump Tower.
Yeah, it was like gold plated like faucets and toilet. Like it was just so
gaudy,
extravagant, and so gross. That's I think United Way. It's always interesting. And every time I walk by a United Way or like see a United Way big building, like a headquarters or whatever, I'm always like, how does that still exist? How do people get like,
nonprofits know how to profit sometimes like that, you know? But yeah, I like the fact that Dolly Parton said the best way to help people is give them money. And I was like, Dolly, now I'm a fan.
We're having conversations with her right now for the Nashville. So we'll see what happens if she can,
That'd be cool.
I don't know that she performs anymore in any like real capacity, but even if she just did a video or just
get up and talk
for a while and, and
get up and talk.
Through her, I mean, it is interesting. When we were in Nashville, I went to Nashville to go do some of the planning at the beginning of July, and having conversations with people, local Nashville organizers, and we actually had a conversation with a local historian, and and everybody consistently said that the only person who Nashville's they used to be like number 48 on the vaccination states, and so they were like, the only person who's been able to come out pro-vaccination and hasn't just basically been completely decimated in Tennessee is Dolly. Dolly came out and was like super adamant, but she's just so like on the, she's just so on the right side of so many things that people are like, okay, even if I don't agree with her, I'm not gonna, I can't throw shade at Dolly Parton.
Dolly can do no wrong.
Yeah. I might not get vaccinated, but I'm not going to destroy her CDs. So
yeah, I'll still go to her concert and get everyone sick. But I don't know. But yeah, so if people can't make it to a physical march, there'll be live streams. Where would they find that at?
So at basicincommarch.com, we'll have links to all of that up on the site once we have a firm schedule of the live stream events. There is also the international community that, every country has different regulations and standards around like what. So right here, we'll have a whole section around live stream events and the festival and stuff like that. So we'll have some links there.
Yeah, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, we're still looking into what platforms we're going to use for the live streaming of, big events like concerts and stuff like that. So, but once we have that, we'll get it up there. Anything related to the Basic Income March, basicincommarch.com is going to have the latest information. So that's definitely the one to just, bookmark, or it's pretty easy to remember. So, just go there. And if you want to just stay up to date, Income Movement, you can sign up for newsletters, or you can join as a volunteer or whatever. We send out just a weekly. We're pretty judicious. We don't glut people's inboxes, but we just do a once a week newsletter that has an update of like things, whether it's really great articles, updates on pilots, or legislation like the Support Act from Representative Omar. And we're moving forward, certainly for the next 7 weeks as we do the countdown to the march. We'll be giving updates on the march regularly. So if you want to stay in touch with that stuff, you can also go to Income Movement's website and sign up.
So where do I sign up for the newsletter in here? Because I see
you have to go to Income Movement's website. So this is the Basic Income March. We intentionally made the Basic Income March independent of any single organization.
Okay, it's totally separate.
So if you go to incomemovement.com, go to like our organization's website, then so you can either go to the volunteer page and just fill in your information there, or on the home page you can scroll down to the bottom and there's a place to just sign up to keep informed. So
it's this easy, people.
We have 600 volunteers, and we have 80 some odd thousand people that are part of our nationally, that are part of our community. So there's a lot of energy out there, which is fantastic, and a lot of dedicated organizers who are just doing amazing work. So
it's that easy, guys. Just did it. There you go.
There it is.
So now I want to get the newsletters.
Yep.
And I got to make sure they don't get sent to the junk mail and the spam folder, and make sure I approve, make sure it doesn't get filtered out.
Yeah. Well, you'll also get a direct email from Kimberly Woods. She's our, you already know her, I think, but she's our volunteer coordinator. She'll reach you, every person who signs up to be a volunteer. She sends a direct email out saying, "Hey,
you know what?
Welcome. What do you want to do? Let's figure out a way to help you do whatever it is in your community."
I forgot. I'm already signed up because I'm in the Slack and everything. Duh. I've already done it. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes people come to our Slack without actually getting in, but I think Chelsea and Kimberly try to keep up to speed on anybody who's joined us once gets added in. But now you're in officially as a volunteer if you weren't before.
I think I was, but I just think just for redundancy's sake, it's that easy, people. Don't talk about it, be about it, go do something. That's what I always say. And
that's great.
So I think this is going to be a great moment. I am super pumped because I went to the Medicare for All March in Chicago 2 weeks ago and live streamed that. 150, 160 people showed up, and it was only within a couple of months because it's supposed to be just in DC.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they had like 100-something cities did it.
I know, that was pretty awesome.
Insane.
Yeah.
And so I showed up there, like 150 people showed up, man. It was pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Some great speakers. So I was all about that. I was like that. So I was like, I can't wait. I hope they have a Basic Income March in Chicago that weekend, because I'll go to Tennessee Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, come home Friday, and go to Chicago on Saturday and just have a kick-ass week of.
You got your whole plan. There is, I think, going to be, I think the organizer in Gary, Indiana is going to potentially do a March event too. She's talking about it.
I know what you're talking about.
So if Chicago doesn't land, Gary might land. So there might be somewhere in your.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's the one. That's the one that knows the mayor, and I talked to her. She's like on his staff or something. She works with him or something.
Yeah, she's done something with him.
Yeah, she's awesome. But is there anything else you want people to know about the march or the movement, volunteering? We kind of covered quite a bit, but the march is a big one, man.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, it's called the Basic Income March, but a lot of the events, depending on the size of like the community or the size of the, just the general community, like how big is your town versus, and also how big is the basic income community. The role of the march is about celebrating progress and interacting, communicating, having conversations with your community about the idea of basic income. And so there's, those are really the two primary goals. And so for some organizers in some of the cities, they're not doing an actual march because they anticipate only having 60 to 80 people. It can be harder to like march with 6. It starts to feel like a small group, right?
Yeah.
but they are doing things like instead they're doing a film screening of Inherent Good and pulling together a panel discussion of some cool local people that are doing some things. And that's their event. And that's still a celebration. It's still an opportunity to bring the community together, let the larger community know about basic income, provide a cool experience for people to dig in. So if you go to that map and your city is not on there and you're like, I want to do something, it's super easy. There's actually like a host button there on the website, the map view that you can see.
Let me go back. What the hell? Oh, I got to zoom out.
Refresh. I think if you just refresh.
Nelly. Let's try this again.
Yeah, so when you can see click to host, there's a button underneath if you want to host an event. And this is a process. You literally just, if you don't have an account with Action Network, you have to set up an account first. But you can literally just drop an event on here. Just fill out a little thing, figure out where you want to be. And once you say, okay, I'm done, I'm going to host this. Our team, which is a fantastic team, will reach out to you and say like, okay, how can we help you? And the organizers that are, we have, as you can see on that map, there's more than 20 cities right now. I think it's going to be closer to 30 cities in the U.S. that are going to participate this year. And many of those organizers, 18 to like 25 organizers, get together every week to talk about the progress they're making, get support from each other, bond over the work that they're doing. And we built really awesome toolkits to help. Like, how do you build a team? How do you market and promote your event? How can you reach out to other partner organizations to see if they want to participate? How do you invite some speakers or some local thought leaders? All of those things we have templates and how-tos, and how do you build graphics for your event? So so definitely, if you're somebody who's like, oh, there's not an event anywhere near me. Boyce has said that a couple of times. I hope there's something closer to me. I'm not, Boyce is going to be covering so many things. You don't need to actually lead an event. I think being able to promote them and cover them is a really important, part of what the community needs. But you can always decide like, hey, I'm just going to do something. Some people are doing barbecues in their backyard. I'm just making them public, like inviting people, having conversations, and inviting a friend who's a DJ to come and like spin some tunes and have a good time and talk about basic income. So it can look like a lot of things.
If I were to do something here, if I had the time, not going to other places, I would actually consider it and like get food truck vendors, business people. If you get the entrepreneurs to get on board basic income, gangbusters. Now we're crossing the aisle.
That's right. Yeah.
We're reaching the centrist conservatives, the centrist Democrats, the libertarians, the independents, the business owners, food trucks, local businesses. Like you could do I would even consider like doing a basic income pub crawl. That'd be fun. Just go bar to bar.
The Yang Gang was amazing at that kind of stuff, especially during the presidential campaign in 2019 and 2020. Like that was fantastic. And it's so fun. I mean, it's fun just being around people. And that kind of fun becomes intoxicating for other people. People, if you're having a good time, if there's 8 or 10 of you doing a pub crawl, by the end of that pub crawl, by the fourth pub, you're going to have a group of 20 or 30 because people are like, what are you all about? And if you've got stickers and fun things that are just like, we're shooting the shit. We're having a good time, but we're also talking about cool stuff and something that's important to us. Like that stuff just becomes really great opportunities for,
got the word back out.
I know, you got to write it down. A lot of the political stuff, you got to do it with, you got to have the sugar with the medicine, the sweetness, the candy.
Well, the idea I'm thinking of is, what if we did a pub crawl right outside? There's like 5 bars within walking distance of Whirlpool's Corporation.
Ooh, yeah.
The basic income pub crawl, and it's right there, and say, look at this place. This is the symbol of the problem. It's trickle down.
Trickle down. Happy hour, and then actually be crawling to the next pub when everybody's leaving the headquarters at 5.
Yeah, and but I think that's a good idea of doing more activism that's local, have some fun.
Yeah.
And then have a couple of people that's local, like with your county Democratic chair, your county Republican chair, invite them both.
Yep.
both of them. This is not a left-right issue.
Right.
This is poverty. We're trying to cancel poverty.
That's right.
Period. And so I think I'm actually friends with my local Republican chair. So I have his phone where I can talk to Todd and talk to him about, hey man, I know he's poo-poo on it, but it's just because he's a military guy, special forces guy that I went to high school with, and he wrestled at the academy and all that kind of crap. And now he's a business owner, the thing is, someone like him, I think, can be tugged with logic and reason.
If he has a good time, if he comes together and he realizes like engaging with that community doesn't mean that things get tense. It's like people are having a good time. They're talking about real stuff, but they're also just, who really the basic income community is, which is people who are thinking about the human side of things. Are deeply empathetic. They know how to walk in other people's shoes and think about like what's really going on here, and have their heart in the right place. That's what extends across partisan lines.
Yeah.
We're not going to demonize anybody. This is about a shared understanding and a shared goal of caring for our communities. Like this is fundamental. And so I think that, if you I'm always surprised at how much kind of joint work can be done when people just drop the first wall and like walk towards each other, shake hands, say, okay, let's do something together. That's not about building legislation, but just like, let's just go and talk about stuff and do a pub crawl and bring some of our community together, see what happens. It's pretty amazing what can come out of something as simple as that.
I think I'm going to do it before the basic income march.
Yeah.
I've already decided I'm doing it. So
put it on our summer event series, Matt, which is the one from the basic income march. I'll drop it to you, or I'll have my team drop it to you.
I mean, how cool would it be to do a basic income pub crawl the week of?
Yeah.
Got my wheels spinning, but I got my whiteboard wrote down, so it's official.
I know it's
on my whiteboard.
You're gonna need a bigger whiteboard pretty soon, boys. That's
okay. This is the whiteboard I take in my car, so when I'm driving at work, I have time, and I think I'm like, oh shit, I hope I remember this later. I never do. So I got a whiteboard. This sits in my passenger seat, and then I have my other whiteboard, which that has my schedule for everything I do on my channels right there.
Yeah.
It's only for this. That's all the shit I got planned for the month. So like that's the way I stay organized.
Smart. You're old school.
Hi, I'm military.
I give one of my girlfriends just has a paper calendar. She takes it everywhere with her, and I tease her all the time.
That's not
but
me.
She always knows. She knows just as much as I do, like what's going on. And she's, she knows everybody's birthday. She knows all kinds of stuff that I always forget. So I'm like, okay, I can only give you a hard time so much before I recognize that you're the method that you've been using since you were 20.
That's right. I'm also a Katie Porter stan. She is.
Katie Porter's the bomb. She's amazing.
Oh, she should be running for like she should be challenging Nancy Pelosi personally. I'm thinking about. I actually got another list over here on paper next to me that has Katie Porter versus Nancy Pelosi for 2022. If they keep the power in the Congress, in the House, she should come up and say, listen, Jamal Bowman, AOC, all the left, whatever, squad, this and that. And then there's her logic, reason, and she's got nationwide recognition for being tenacious.
I really think, I was having a conversation. I used to be a high school English and social studies teacher many years ago. Most of my friends still are high school teachers. I was having a conversation in the middle of the pandemic with one of my close girlfriends who's a high school English teacher. And she said, if we don't, I'm 47. All my friends are somewhere between like 45 and 50. And, and we were just talking about, she's like, there's two things. One, during this pandemic, if we don't completely shake up our entire education system, and right the wrongs that we know have been there, but that we felt like we can't do because it would be like tearing it all down. She's like, we've torn it down. Let's build it back up right. If we don't take advantage of that, then there's a problem. Yeah. And I'm realizing all these like 25-year-old teachers that are coming in are freaking amazing. And like, I don't need to chair shit anymore. I'm ready to just hand, like, we have a new generation who's like energetic and excited and has been learning some I can help mentor them around like, you know, lesson plans or whatever, or how to handle like the tough kid who's gonna, you know, ride your ass all day. But I don't need to be in charge and make decisions. They have a better sense. They're closer to the kids. They understand what's needed. And then we brought that into the political stage, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's deeply disturbing to me. Anybody who thinks that they should still be making primary decisions over the age of 60 is somebody you can't trust, I think. I mean, like, I don't have a significant problem with Nancy Pelosi in general. Like, I think she's done. I know, and I know there's a lot of people that do, but I also do just think, like, if you're over 60, so you need to start like mentoring people and handing things over, because if you don't recognize that you could die any day, and like then you're leaving a vacuum, then you're totally self-centered. Like, it's a very egotistical thing, right? Like,
I got a policy idea for that then.
Yeah.
Whatever the what do you call it, the Social Security ages is pretty much life expectancy. They expect you to die, and they don't want you to draw too much. So we're going to make Social Security the average age of a man right now in America is 72, and for women it's 74, because we're dumb. We don't go to the doctors all that much, so we'll die younger, and we drive motorcycles too fast or whatever, right? So they say, okay, so that's an average about 73 years old, and they moved up Social Security to 67 and a half.
Right.
Now they're talking about 68, because they don't want you to live 5 years on Social Security. That's not designed for that.
Right.
So to me,
if you qualify for Social Security, you can't be leading Congress anymore.
If you live past life expectancy, average life expectancy, you're going to get tuned out. And now you're going to go to a mentorship position. All this shit in Congress is made up. It's not constitutional. Sorry, these little fucking weird rules they got. They make shit up all the time. So to me, it should be term limits. And then there should be like a mentorship program where, okay, you've done 3 terms, you've been there for 18 years, you went to the House, you went to the Senate, you've done everything you can. Now just be like a mentor, be the head, whatever the hell thing, whatever, but not representing the people and writing policies.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? It's 8:00. I know you got to go also. So
I know. I just looked up. I was like, oh, I got a State of the Movement meeting. I got to go over and get to.
Yes. So we'll work on more stuff. I'll touch base with you again. Maybe we'll bring you back on here another month, leading into the Basic Income March.
That'd be great.
Okay, guys, here's the cities. This is official. This is go sign up and get there. You know,
I'll tell you who the talent and the thought leaders that are at all the locations. So you guys can know, like, is it worth driving 3 hours to go and see Cori Bush? Maybe it is.
It is.
I think it is.
I'm going to drive 8 hours to see.
I know it's worth me flying 2,000 miles. So
you're going to New York?
I'm going to Nashville and New York.
Oh, so I get to meet you in person in Nashville.
Yes, that's right.
Outstanding. That's awesome. I can't wait. But yeah, guys. So thank you for your time, Stacey. I know you got a boogie, and we'll talk to you in about a couple weeks here about a month or so. We'll do it again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, boys.
See you, Stacey.
Take care.
All right, guys. Well, that was awesome. So this really does give me some good ideas, guys. A basic income crawl. So I'm going to reach out to my representative, Fred Upton, who's a Republican for 35 years now, since I was in like elementary school. I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to get a petition. I'm going to do a damn pub crawl right outside. So Fred Upton's family owns Whirlpool Corporation. You've heard of it, because if you got an appliance in your house, you've benefited this family financially. So every house has a fucking washing machine or whatever, right? So the idea is do a pub crawl right outside their door at their world headquarters. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars within like a half a mile of their headquarters. So if we can get that going on, have a petition signed, get the mayor of Benton Harbor to get on board, that'd be super dope. And then get Fred Upton to show up. and be a Republican representative, a Democratic representative, and then a basic income march and a pub crawl. That could be a lot of fun. So I'm actually going to try and work on that between whatever other bullshit I'm doing. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming, man. So I know Stacey had to go. She's supposed to be another meeting at 8. And so after this, guys, I'm going down. I'm getting me some food. I'm coming back, not here, but I'll be on the McCoy, the melanated, what is it called now? They changed the name. Melanated Council, I think it's called now. Yeah, so I'll be on Melanated Council at 9 p.m. Eastern until 10 or 11. Who knows what time that'll go. We're talking about raising black children because my oldest son is biracial, and I'm a white guy, if you haven't noticed. So we're gonna talk about that, like raising children, and talk to them about the talk when it comes to being 16 and driving in America, stuff like that. And it's gonna be a fun little discussion, man. So yeah, guys, I appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and kill it now. And if you haven't watched the Richard Ojeda live stream yesterday, you really should, because I'm gonna go back and make some clips tonight of that too. But that was one of my favorite live streams I've had so far, is Richard Ojeda on this panel just dogging out Joe Manchin. So all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and kill it. You guys take care, man. I appreciate you. That's 1 hour even.